Hi everyone, it's your girl Stephilippines and welcome back to my channel everybody. So for today's video, we are diving into the reasons of why there are so many expats or foreigners who are leaving the Philippines. Alright, so yes guys, honestly, we have all seen already the beauty of this country, right? And many of you actually come here in the Philippines for the laid back lifestyle, the warm weather, the amazing culture, hospitable culture, very friendly Filipinos, and very beautiful Filipinas here, right? But the truth is, not all expats actually stick around for too long. So why are you guys leaving the Philippines? Alright, so again, in today's video, I will uncover some of the common reasons of why expats choose to pack up and head back to their home countries or choose to move elsewhere like Thailand, Vietnam, and other Asian countries. Alright, so first, common reasons of why expats choose to leave the Philippines is because of high cost of living and inflation here in the Philippines. All right, so actually there are so many foreigners move to the Philippines because they're often attracted by the lower cost of living here. You know, maybe they have heard in the internet that it's very cheap here compared to places like US, Canada, Europe, Australia. However, unfortunately, over time, some expats have noticed that prices here in the Philippines have been creeping up, particularly in major cities like Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao. So, unfortunately, everything from food, transportation, to housing costs has been increasing dramatically and steadily, and many expats are actually finding their budget isn't stretching as far as it used to. You know, like for example, guys, rents in popular expat areas like Cebu City, Davao City, Manila City have gone up, and also the dining out or the grocery shopping has also become more really expensive. And unfortunately, that led to, you know, sense of frustration, especially for those who are on their fixed incomes or relying solely on their retirement budgets every month. So unfortunately, the rising cost of living can actually make life really less affordable here in the Philippines, and that led to expats of why they reconsider their options or their choices or decisions to stay here and retire here in the Philippines. Another reason of why some expats are leaving the Philippines, it's because it has to do with bureaucracy. Okay, so yes, guys, the Philippines is such a very beautiful country, but dealing with government processes can be very extremely frustrating, even to most local Filipino people. So how much more for expats, right? Like for example, even if you're just applying for a visa or dealing with paperwork for business permits or just getting basic services like internet or utilities, but unfortunately the process can still be very slow and confusing. You know, and some expats have reported long wait times, excessive paperwork, and an overall lack of clarity when it comes to government procedures. So, unfortunately, this can be a very major source of stress for most expats who are used to more streamlined systems back home to their own country. And in some cases as well, the frustration with bureaucracy, guys, actually ends up driving expats to relocate to countries with more efficient systems like Thailand, Vietnam, and the other Asian countries. All right, so another big reason some expats choose to leave the Philippines is the state of the infrastructure and public services. All right, so you know what, guys? Actually, the Philippines has made strides in improving our infrastructure in recent years, but unfortunately, there are still some major issues. You know, like for example, the traffic congestion in cities like Manila and also in Cebu. It's very notorious, and for many expats, this is actually one of the biggest deterrents for them. You know, like imagine spending hours stuck in a very heavy traffic every single day, that it can really lead to burnout, stress, and especially if you're used to more efficient public transportation system back home. So Definitely, that also frustrates expats. And aside from that, as well as the internet reliability here is also a common complaint by expats, and not just expats actually, but some of us Filipino people. Well, although we are improving our internet connection, but there are still times here in the Philippines where it can be very quite spotty, and especially in remote areas, in the province areas, it's very unreliable. So this can be a very big issues for expats who rely on stable internet for work or for personal businesses or for communicating with your loved ones. So, unfortunately, the combination of traffic, unreliable public transportation, and inconsistent internet connection has been very overwhelming for some expats, and that lead them to seek out more convenient options in other countries like Thailand. Okay, so now let's talk about the healthcare system here in the Philippines, or the healthy concerns here in the Philippines. Well, the Philippines, guys, actually does offer some excellent private healthcare options, but unfortunately, the public healthcare system is often considered inadequate, especially in rural areas. Because many expats initially feel comfortable with the healthcare system because they are often able to access quality private hospitals in places like Metro Manila or Cebu. However, for those who live in more remote areas, or those people who cannot afford, or those expats who cannot afford to private care, then the public healthcare system can be very lacking for them. And some expats actually have reported frustrations with very long wait times, limited access to specialists, and even concerns over the quality of medical care in some hospitals here in the Philippines. This is one of the major factors for expats, especially to those with chronic health conditions or elderly family members who need a consistent medical care. So, for those of you guys who don't feel comfortable with the local healthcare options, this can be a very big reason to pack up and leave for a country with better medical facilities and services. Okay, so the next common factor as well is cultural and social adjustment. All right, honestly, many foreigners actually fall in love with, Filipino culture, but unfortunately, there are also some foreigners that find it really difficult to adjust with the social and the cultural differences here. And it's no secret, guys, that the Philippines has a unique cultural identity, and for some expats as well, adjusting to the way things are done here can actually really take so much time, and sometimes it's just not for them, and unfortunately it's not for everyone. And for example, with this, guys, are actually the strong emphasis on family ties, the importance of hierarchy, and even the way people interact socially can be overwhelming for some expats out there. So, it's also important to remember that Filipinos, guys, are very known for being friendly and hospitable, but I'm also not gonna lie that there are some expats that they feel like they are an outsider, or they're still struggling until now to make close or genuine connections with Filipino people. And aside from that is the language barrier. This is also an issue for most expats because although there are many Filipino that speaks good in English, but it's not always easy to communicate with them, especially those Filipinos who live in rural areas or in more local settings. And due to this lack of fluency, can sometimes make expats feel isolated or disconnected with other Filipino people as well. And all of these cultural adjustments can lead to feelings of frustrations or loneliness. And for some expats, it's easier for them to leave the country than to continue navigating these challenges. All right, so last but not the least, guys, is one of the reasons of why expats leave the country is because safety is also another concerns for some expats. And you know what, the Philippines is a relatively safe country, okay? However, there are certain areas in the Philippines where crime can be an issue, like for example a petty crime such as pickpocketing, also scams. Those are actually fairly common crime here in the Philippines, especially in big cities or touristy areas, and some foreigners actually feel uncomfortable living in places where they constantly need to be vigilant and be extra careful. So yes, guys, those are just some of the common reasons of why expats are leaving the Philippines. So, despite the beauty and charm of the country, the rise cost of living, the long wait times, the infrastructure issues, the healthcare concerns, cultural adjustments, and safety worries really play a part in why foreigners choose to leave the Philippines. But there are also many expats as well that consider Philippines as their home because they're able to figure out their life already here, and also they finally found someone that they get married to. So I guess staying here in the Philippines is not really for everyone. Okay, so again, thank you so much everybody for watching my video, and see you guys in my next one.